Happy Friday. Welcome to another live reading with Intentions of a Mastermind Book Club. My name is Alyssa Luce, and we're going to be continuing our read of Psycho-Cybernetics. If you guys have never heard of Intentions of a Mastermind Book Club, it's absolutely free to join. You can click the link in the description, learn a little bit more about the book club, and check out all the challenges we do with the different books on success and enlightenment and just becoming your best self, right? So I dropped my stickies. We are going to be picking up from chapter 5. In the last reading, I said it was chapter 4, but then I realized it was actually chapter 5. We're over here on page 80, picking up in this little section here. This section is titled, Ideas Are Changed, Not by Will, but by other ideas. So if you guys have any questions at any time, you can definitely leave them in the comments. We'll definitely be talking about all your questions towards the end of the reading. So let's get started. It can be seen that Bertrand Russell's technique of searching out ideas which are inconsistent with some deeply felt conviction is essentially the same as the method tested clinically with such amazing success by Prescott Lecky. Hey, Joy. Lecky's method consisted of getting the subject to see that some negative concept of his was inconsistent with some other deeply held belief. Lecky believed that it was inherent in the very nature of his mind itself that all ideas and concepts which make up the total content of personality must seem to be consistent with each other. If the inconsistency of a given idea is consistently recognized, it must be rejected. One of my patients was a salesman who was scared to death. When calling upon big shots, his fear and nervousness were overcome in just one counseling session, during which I asked him, would you physically get down on all fours and crawl into the man's office, prostrating yourself before a superior personage? I should say not, he bristled. Then why do you mentally cringe and crawl? Another question. Would you go into a man's office with your hand out like a beggar and beg for a dime for a cup of coffee? Certainly not. Can't you see that you're doing essentially the same thing when you go in overly concerned with whether or not he will approve of you? Can't you see that you have your hand out, literally begging for his approval and acceptance of you as a person? Lecky found that there were two powerful levers for changing beliefs and concepts. They are standard convictions, which are strongly held by nearly everyone. I know, right? You see my face? I'm like, oh. Hi, everybody. Definitely leave your comments below about the reading. All right. So, there are standard convictions which are strongly held by nearly everyone. These are 1. The feeling of belief that one is capable of doing his share, holding up his end of the log, exerting a certain amount of independence, and 2. The belief that there is something inside you which should not be allowed to suffer indignities. Wow. Examine and reevaluate your beliefs. Yeah, you over here, go Leafs go. Examine and reevaluate your beliefs. One of the reasons that the power of rational thinking goes unrecognized is that it is so seldom used. Trace down the belief about yourself or the belief about the world or other people which is behind your negative behavior. You're in the perfect video, my friend. Does something always happen to cause you to miss out just when success seems within your grasp? Perhaps you secretly feel unworthy of success or that you do not deserve it. Are you ill at ease around other people? Perhaps you believe you are inferior to them. I'm not saying this, by the way, the author is. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Okay. Or that the other people per se are hostile and unfriendly. Do you become anxious and fearful for no good reason in a situation that is relatively safe? Perhaps you believe that the world you live in is hostile, unfriendly, dangerous place, or that you deserve punishment. Remember that both behavior and feelings spring from belief. To root out the belief which is responsible for your feeling and behavior, ask yourself why. Is there some task which you would like to do, some channel in which you would like to express yourself, but you hang back feeling that I can't? Ask yourself why. Why do I believe that I can't? Then ask yourself, is this belief based on an actual fact or upon an assumption or a false conclusion? Then ask yourself the questions. Number 1, is there any rational reason for such a belief? Number 2, could it be that I'm mistaken in this belief? Number 3, would I come to be the same conclusion about some other person in a similar situation? And number 4, why should I continue to act and feel as if it were true if there's no good reason to believe it? Don't just pass these questions by casually. Wrestle with them. Think hard on them. Get emotional about them. Can you see that you have cheated yourself and sold yourself short? Can you see that not because of a fact, but because of some stupid belief? If so, try to arouse some indignation or even anger. Indignation and anger can sometimes act as liberators from false ideas. Alfred Adler got mad at himself and at his teacher and then was unable to throw off a negative definition of himself. This experience is not uncommon. An old farmer said he quit tobacco for good one day when he discovered he had left his tobacco home and started to walk 2 miles for it. On the way, he saw that he was being used in humiliation by a habit. He got mad, turned around, went back to the field, and never smoked again. Clarence Darrow, the famous attorney, said his success started the day that he got mad, when he attempted to secure a mortgage for $2,000 to buy a house. Just as the transaction was about to be completed, the lender's wife spoke up and said, "Don't be a fool. He will never make enough money to pay it off." Darrow himself had serious doubts about the same thing. But something happened when he heard her remark. He became indignant, both at the woman and at himself, and determined he would be a success. A businessman friend of mine had a very similar experience. A failure at 40. He continually worried about how things would come out, about how his own inadequacies, and whether or not he would be able to complete each business venture. Fearful and anxious, he was attempting to purchase some machinery on credit when the man's wife objected. She did not believe he would ever be able to pay for it. At first, his hopes were dashed, but then he became indignant. Who was he to be pushed around like that? Who was he to sulk through the world continually fearful of failure? The experience awakened something within him, some new self, and at once he saw that this woman's remark, as well as his own opinions of himself, were an affront to this something. He had no money, no credit, and no way to accomplish what he wanted. But he found a way, and within 3 years, he was more successful than he had ever dreamed of being, not in one business, but in 3. This is amazing. You guys can definitely learn from listening to these stories. The power of deep desire. Rational thought to be effective in changing belief and behavior must be accompanied by deep feeling and desire. Picture to yourself what you would like to be and have, and assume for the moment that such things might be possible. Arouse a deep desire for these things. Become enthusiastic about them. Dwell upon them and keep going over them in your mind. Your present negative beliefs were formed by thought plus feeling. My sticky is not sticky. Hold on, guys. I need to put a sticky here because this is a great quote. It says, picture yourself to do what you like to do, be, and have, and assume for the moment that such things just might be possible. Become enthusiastic about them, right? So generate enough emotion or deep feeling, and your new thoughts and ideas will cancel them out. If you will analyze this, you will see that you are using a process you have often used before, worry. The only difference is you change your goals from negative to positive. When you worry, you first of all picture some undesirable future outcome or goal very vividly in your imagination. You use no effort or willpower, but you keep dwelling upon the end result. You keep thinking about it, dwelling upon it, picturing yourself as a possibility. You play with the idea that it might happen. The consistent repetition and thinking in terms of possibilities makes the end result appear more and more real to you. After a time, appropriate emotions are automatically generated. Fear, anxiety, discouragement, all these things are appropriate to the undesirable end result you are worrying about. Now change the goal picture, and you can easily generate good emotions. Constantly picturing to yourself and dwelling upon a desirable end result, which will also make the possibilities seem more real. And again, appropriate emotions of enthusiasm, cheerfulness, encouragement, and happiness will automatically be generated. In forming good emotional habits and in breaking bad ones, said Dr. Knight Dunlap, we have to deal with primarily with thought and thought habits. And as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a Man Thinketh is actually one of my favorite books of all time. And if you've never read it, that was one of the first books we read together as Intentions of a Mastermind Book Club. Joy remembers. Absolutely amazing book. Highly recommend. Okay, what rational thought can and cannot do? Remember that your automatic mechanism can easily function as a failure mechanism and as a success mechanism, depending on the data you give it to process and the goals you set for it. It is basically a goal-striving mechanism. The goals it works upon you are up to you. Many of us unconsciously and unwittingly, by holding negative attitudes and habitually picturing failure to ourselves in our imagination, set up goals of failure. Also remember that your automatic mechanism does not reason about nor question the data you feed it. It merely processes it and reacts appropriately to it. It is very important that the automatic mechanism be given true facts concerning the environment. This is the job of conscious and rational thought, to know the truth, to form correct evaluations, estimations, opinions. It is this connection most of us are prone to underestimate ourselves and overestimate the nature of the difficulty facing us. Always thinking of what you have to do is easy, and it will become so, said Emile Coué. I have made extensive experiments to discover the common causes of that conscious effort which freezes the thinking mind, says psychologist Daniel W. Jocelyn. Practically, always it seems to be due to the tendency to exaggerate the difficulty and importance of your mental labors, to take them too seriously, and fear they will find you incapable. People who are eloquent in casual conversation become imbeciles when they mount the speaker's platform. You must simply learn that if you can interest the neighbor, you can interest all neighbors, or the world, and not be frozen by magnitudes. If you could do one thing, if one person could do it, you could do it too, right? You never know until you try. It is the job of rational, conscious thought to examine and analyze incoming messages, to accept those which are true and reject those which are untrue. Many are bowled over by the chance remark of a friend. You do not look so well this morning. If they are rejected or snubbed by someone, they blindly swallow the fact that this means they are an inferior person. Most of us are subjected to negative suggestions every day. If our conscious mind is working and on the job, we do not have to accept them blindly. It ain't necessarily so is a good motto. It is the job of the conscious rational mind to form logical and correct conclusions. I failed once in the past, so I will probably fail in the future, is neither logical nor rational. To conclude, I can't in advance without trying, and in the absence of any evidence to the contrary, is not rational. We should be more like the man who was asked if he could play the piano. I don't know, he said. What do you mean you don't know? I have never tried. Decide what you want, not what you don't want. It is the job of conscious, rational thought to decide what you want, select the goals you wish to achieve, and concentrate upon these rather than upon what you do not want. To spend time and effort concentrating upon what you do not want is not rational. When President Eisenhower was General Eisenhower in World War II, he was asked what he would have done, he was asked what would have been the effect upon the Allied cause if the invasion troops had been thrown back into the sea from the beaches of Italy. It would have been very bad, he said, but I never allow my mind to think in that way. Keep your eye on the ball. It is the job of your conscious mind to pay strict attention to the task at hand, to what you are doing and what is going on around you, so that these incoming sensory images can keep your automatic mechanism currently advised of the environment and allow it to respond spontaneously. In baseball parlance, you must keep your eye on the ball. It is not the job of your conscious rational mind, however, to create or to do the job at hand. We get into trouble when we either neglect to use these conscious thinking in the way that it is meant to be used, or when we attempt to use it in a way that was never meant to be used. We cannot squeeze creative thought out of the creative mechanism by making conscious effort. We cannot do the job to be done by making strained conscious efforts. And because we try and cannot, we become concerned, anxious, frustrated. The automatic mechanism is unconscious. We cannot see the wheels turning. We cannot know what is taking place beneath the surface. And because it works spontaneously in reacting to present and current needs, we can have no intimation or certified guarantee in advance that it will come up with the answer. We are forced into a position of trust. In short, conscious rational thought selects the goal, gathers information, concludes, evaluates, estimates, and starts the wheels in motion. It is not, however, responsible for results. We must learn to do our work, act upon the best assumptions available, and leave the results to take care of themselves. And that's the end of chapter 5. What an amazing chapter. I'm going to bring Joy on to talk about what we read today. And if you guys want to ever join on and talk about the reading, just become a member of Intentions of a Mastermind. It's absolutely free. Link is in the description. How are you today, Joy?
Am I here? Okay.
Yes.
I'm feeling so good. What's up? How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing myself, full of laughter this morning.
Yeah, for real.
Jokes. It was jokes.
Oh,
But
shucks.
this was a great read. There were so many gems in this short read today. I highlighted this first one here. There was a lot that I didn't highlight, but this one I highlighted. This becoming enthusiastic about the things you want to be and have, and like believing that it's possible for you, right? The key of enthusiasm, like there's a couple different quotes about enthusiasm. The first one that comes to mind is like, I would rather hire a man that's enthusiastic than a man that knows everything. Right? Yes. Because think about it. It's really what drives you, your enthusiasm. Like, how good do you feel about what's possible in your life? And honestly, enthusiasm is something that's lacking nowadays. And last night I was listening to an audio, and the speaker was saying, like, going back to the root word of enthusiasm. And I believe she said it was either Latin or Greek, and it was stemmed from ethos or something of that sense. And it meant the spirit of God, right? To the spirit of being. And I was like, wow, if you really think about what enthusiasm is, how it feels to be enthusiastic, it feels like you're alive. It feels like everything is going to go smoothly and perfectly, and you're able to create basically anything when you're enthusiastic about it, right?
Wow. Yes. I love words and etymology. I just went to go check, and yes, it derives directly from late Latin enthusiasmus and Greek enthusiasmos, which is divine inspiration, enthusiasm,
Yes.
inspired or possessed by God. Yep.
Yes. And if you think about, like, let's say if you come from a Christian background and you hear, the Holy Spirit has come upon me, and, I know this is the right thing to do. You become enthusiastic about that decision. And that's really what the author is talking about, to generate enough emotion or feeling towards the thoughts that will get rid of these negative thoughts. And one of the things my mentor always talks about is how we've been trained, to think about the things that we don't want all the time. People are always worrying, they're always stressed out, always frustrated, disappointed. And it's up to you to see the possibility in things. The world of possibility is endless. It is infinite. And every single possibility that comes to your mind already exists. And if you were to go around living in this belief that all possibilities already exist, then you can never lose.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
I want to say something else about enthusiasm.
Go ahead.
That's why I always go back to the etymology of words, and I don't just stop at the definition, because the origin of things is not the same as the adaptation of things. That's an original quote by me. Y'all can stamp that. And when you look at the dictionary's definition of enthusiasm, it says intense and eager enjoyment, interest, or approval. It don't say nothing about being possessed by divine inspiration, being possessed by God. I don't say nothing about that. So you walk around. So I'm thinking about just being a student in school, learning that enthusiasm just meant, intense excitement, but it's way deeper and way beyond that. So learning the etymology of words really is important because it helps you learn the true intentional energy behind them. Like here's a challenge for you all listening. Look up the etymology of the word nice, NICE.
I don't even know that. Do you mind?
Yeah, I'll share it.
Share it with me, please.
We don't even have to do we don't have to do. We can do the lab challenge right now. So when you look up the etymology of nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You learn that it originates from the Latin word that means nicius, meaning ignorant or unaware, foolish, silly, stupid. All right.
You know what other word is like that? Funny. Like people think things that are funny are good, right?
Yeah.
Like comedy makes me laugh. But, entertainment is one of those things that distracts you from being your best self. It distracts you from doing the hard work. So, funny is another word for foolish. Right?
Yep. Strange, odd. Yep. Causing perplexity. And so come on now. Come on with the source. Like when you think about the energy of it, right? Because I always think about, why do people get so offended by laughter, right? You might hear people say things like, it's disrespectful to laugh at a funeral, for example, or people get offended and think that when someone laughs at them, they're making fun of them, because the original energy of that word funny wasn't meant to be something that is enjoyable or pleasant. Laughter is supposed to be enjoyable or pleasant. It's medicine for the soul. But that word funny, and the way that we use it now in this realm, the energy of it has been twisted. So when people are laughing, it sometimes take on this like negative connotation. So yeah, it's very interesting, very deep.
Yeah. And even going back to that word of nice, it's like when I think of nice, it's like it's not as impactful as someone that's compassionate, as someone that's loving, as someone that's understanding. Like it's definitely a surface level way to describe somebody when you kind of don't know what else to say about them. Like, yeah, they're nice.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I prefer to use the word kind and kindness, because that really gets to the root of what you think you're saying when you say that someone's nice. So that's it for the day, family. What did we learn? Stop using the word nice, okay? And
learned something new today. I could tell you that.
And check up on the etymology of words that we use every day, and thinking that it's just normal, because we don't really know what spells we're casting if we're unaware.
Yes.
So what came up for me with this reading today is the first thing that came up was the part about anger, and anger inspiring you to action, and how we get conditioned to believe that anger is a negative emotion. It's a bad thing to feel it. It could be sinful to feel it. And so we run from it, we hide from it, and we stifle it and don't allow it to emerge. But not allowing us to feel it in a healthy way could be keeping us stuck in patterns that we have no business being stuck in. You get angry enough about the way that you're being treated at your job, it might inspire you to leave it. That's what I did, right? You don't have to stay stuck in an environment that makes you feel inferior, low, does not allow you to exercise your gifts, takes up too much of your time, doesn't allow you to rest. Why would you do that? If you get angry enough, you'll bounce, right?
And you know what? No, keep going.
No, go ahead. Because I was going to say something about the next part that came up. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to talk about that anger part too, right? Yeah. Some of the most successful people in the world, Rockefeller, Henry Ford, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, they were described as the most, irate and difficult people to work with, because they understood that anger fuels your drive to want something better. And getting angry about your current situation is the first step to creating something new, right? Because that is energy in itself. And it's kind of like when you're driving and you hit the gas pedal and the gas shoots some more gas, like the car shoots some more gasoline into the engine, and now you just like jolt forward. That's what the anger does. It's the fuel in the engine to push you to do something more. And the next step is to clarify what you want, right? And the author has a whole little section dedicated to decide what you want, not what you don't want.
So powerful. That's a analogy and a perfect segue into what I was going to share next that came up. The
Go
part
ahead.
about the part about the guy who was asked if he knows how to play the piano, and he said he doesn't know because he never tried. And it's like conditioning has us thinking that just because you quote unquote can't do something, which we don't say that, because there's so many things we need to remove from the way that we speak, right? But just because you quote unquote can't do something, you think that you can't do it just because you don't do it. And I thought about that with driving, when people say like, oh, you can't drive, and it's like, actually no, I can drive, I just don't drive. You
There's
know,
a difference.
like, I've been behind the wheel several times, it's just not something that I do. So if you don't know that you can do something, or if you don't know unless you try to do it. You don't know if you like something unless you have tried it before. So don't say, well, I don't like peas. I haven't ever tried peas before to know if I like them or not.
That part. It's always about food, People are like, I
Right.
can't eat that.
I can't
can
eat
never
mushrooms.
go vegan. I can
Right.
never, go plant-based. Have you ever tried?
You haven't even
I
tried.
tried for like a week.
Okay.
Okay.
Good talk. So, and the other thing that came up for me with today's reading was in the last paragraph. Was that the section about the section about keep your eye on the ball.
Yeah, that's the last section.
Okay. And how I think that he was talking about you can't squeeze creative thought out of the creative mechanism by making conscious effort.
Nope.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And that is one of the main reasons why I left the classroom, why I left the school district, because that is the way that they condition children that they are supposed to learn. That it only can happen, that the only thing that only what you do through conscious effort, and that can be displayed on by your grades, is that's what matters. And really learning and accepting that was the way that I was expected to teach. That made me so what, y'all? Angry that I could not bear to accept that. So I bounced.
This is right here the reason why people don't get what they want as fast as others. It's because they think, oh, if I want to be a millionaire, I have to work my 9-to-5 job, and I have to save money, and you're never going to get there. If you probably will get there eventually, but not as fast as you possibly could, versus if you just allow it to happen, right? Allow it to happen in the right way. Focus on what you want, right? Keep your eye on the ball means to focus on what you want and feel good about it, right? Focus on what you want and not what you don't want, and feel good about what you want. But at the same time, don't be attached to the outcome, right? It says it is not what's it called? Conscious rational thought selects the goal, gathers the information, concludes, evaluates, estimates, and starts the wheels in motions. It is not responsible for the results. We must learn to do our work, act upon the best assumptions available, and leave the results to take care of themselves. This is not me saying it. The author is saying it. But it is a principle of successful people. It's understanding that when you don't even know how it's going to happen, it doesn't matter. As long as you know what you want clearly, you feel amazing about it, it is possible for you, and you just let God, the universe, the world work its way, the how will present itself. And before you know it, you're gonna get exactly what you desire.
Mm-hmm. It is so. And that part about keeping your eye on the ball, it is energetic and it's also physical because when I
Mm-hmm.
first learned how to catch, that was the first lesson I learned. Guide the ball with your eyes to your hand.
Mm,
And every time I am involved in a game of catch, I just keep my eye on the ball and where does it fall? Right into my
in my
hand.
hands. That's amazing, right? Some of
Hmm.
us should go play catch again.
Yeah, go play, go have fun. It's springtime now. If you're in the northern hemisphere, go have fun, go play catch, get outside, get in that sun, and see what downloads you get.
I know, right? Happy spring, y'all. Happy New Year, as people have been saying.
Yeah, Aries
And
season. Yeah.
and that's all we have for you guys today. Unless you want to add anything else before we end, Joy.
Oh no, thank you so much for allowing me to share today. This was great, and thank you for reading.
Of course, this is my pleasure. Honestly, every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're on here talking about psycho-cybernetics. We're already on chapter 6. We've only been reading for what, like, I guess 4 weeks, because this is 12 and we only read 3 times a day. So we've been reading a whole month. We're already on chapter 6, and there's a total of what? I don't even know. I didn't even look. How many chapters we got in this book? Okay, not bad. We got 15 chapters. So let's see how further we get. As you can see, I've been taking a lot of notes because this is just gem after gem after gem. So you guys can definitely go back. The recordings are there on the page, and whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and you could still leave comments, and I'll definitely see them. We could talk about them. And I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and God bless you all. Have a great weekend.